Shalom Aleichem. Mishnah Yomi is in the last full day of Ketubot. Tomorrow we will learn the ultimate Mishnah of Ketubot and begin Bezrat Hashem Nedarim. So Bli Neder, that means without making a binding promise. Tomorrow is Nedarim, but right now we're in chapter 13 of Ketubot, Mishnah 9, Mishnah Tet. Shnayim, there were two men, Shahotziu Shtar Chov Ze Al Ze. They both pulled out a loan document on one another. They probably met in the middle of town at high noon, and then they said draw, and they each pulled out their shtar chov. That's sort of like a Jewish way to do a showdown. So both of them have documentation that the other one owes them money for a loan. So what's going on here? Admon Omer. So Admon holds, Elu hayiti chayev loch, ketzadata love mimeni. He says the one who has the earlier dated loan document can tell the other one, if I really owed you the money, how would you have lent me money? Basically what he's saying is, I must have already paid the loan before you showed up asking to borrow money from me. Because after all, he's saying, if I still owed you money, you should have taken the money in satisfaction of your loan instead of borrowing money from me. So therefore, he shouldn't have to pay, because obviously the other payment, it was already made already, or maybe it was a forgery. It's not valid. But this other sages disagree with Admon. Again, they say, Ze gove shtar chovo. One party can collect his debt. After all, it's documented in shtar. Ze gove shtar chovo. The other one collects his debt. So maybe they cancel out. Maybe one's larger than the other. But they hold both of these documents are valid, that they can't have a claim, hey, if I still owed you money, you wouldn't have borrowed from me. Now, Mishnah Yud brings us back to Ketubot and marriage-related topics. Shalosh aratzot nesuin. There are three regions for marriage. The Mishnah will explain what's going on here. Yehuda, the region we call Judah, the Judean hills and surrounding area, not just the ancestral Shevet land of the tribe of Yehuda. Aver Yarden, the other side of the Jordan, what is called the East Bank. It's now called Jordan. It used to be called Transjordan. It was called Aver HaYarden, which is literally Transjordan. It's the East Bank. That used to be inhabited by Jews, not just the West Bank, but the East Bank we had. The Golil. Golil is the north of Yehuda, of Judah. When we say these three regions apply to marriage, we mean if a husband is living in Judea, in Yehuda, he can't then tell his wife, listen, we're going and moving to Galilee, because listen, all their friends and family are in Yehuda. So it's really tircha, it's really a difficult thing to move. There's not always good communication and easy travel back and forth. So it's really something a husband cannot force his wife to do. The Mishnah continues this theme, Ein motziin me'ir le'ir. And one can't make his wife move from one city to another city, mekrach lekrach, or from a large metropolis to another large metropolis. Meaning, even if it's the same size city or town or metropolitan area, from Yehuda to Galil, it's the similar size city. He can't force his wife to move. Aval be'oto arts, but in the same region, if they're staying in the Galil or staying in Yehuda, Motziin me'ir le'ir mekrach lekrach. They can go from one, a similar size city to another. Aval lo me'ir lekrach velo mekrach le'ir. But if they're living in a smaller town, he can't force his wife, if she doesn't want to go to a big city, a big hustle bustle, or vice versa. And the Rav Bar Nur explains based on the Gemara, and the Rashi in the Gemara says, in a small town, there's fresh air, there's easy access to gardens and fresh produce, but in a city, it might be a lot more crowded and less fresh air and gardens and orchards, but you can get more things. There's more people, more job opportunities, perhaps. So there are trade-offs in both places. So you can't force her to relocate to a place that she might not be to her taste. Motziin, but he can force her to move minavei ra lenavei yafe, from a residence that's raw, that's not so good, to one that is good. The Mefarshim explain if there's an abundance of fresh food, it's less expensive there, cost of living is lower, and you can get, healthy produce, for less money. But not from a residence which is nice and plentiful and abundant to one that is not so good. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, af lo minavei ra lenavei yafe. He also can't force her to move from a residence that's not so good to one that's better. Because a nice residence tests someone. Mepharshim say it means it tests the health. If they're not used to the fresh air or the mountains or the food that's available in the new location, it can cause a shinui vesit. It can cause a holy mayim, a change in what people eat and their atmosphere, their environment can cause sickness in some people. And this last statement is related to the tochacha when Moshe and when Hashem tell the Jewish people, Shamanta Avita, Vayashman Yeshua Vayivot, that when Am Yisrael was incredibly successful and wealthy, that was bodek, that was a test. It was a test of Amunah, and in some instances, instead of thanking Hashem for the wealth and the honor, they rebelled against Hashem because of their wealth. Yashar Koach, tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, Bli Neder, we're going to finish Ketubot. Mazel Tov in advance.